Mirror's Edge Catalyst looks absolutely amazing, and I think DICE have done an amazing job here, but there's obviously a few of the gameplay elements that I haven't affirmed yet, which hopefully when I get access to the beta, if I do, I will confirm. But it looks brilliant, and I haven't had the incentive to actually do a video despite the past few new trailers that have been released by DICE. And through all this new gameplay that's been released by these very popular YouTubers with a lot of subscribers, who I can only assume had actually travelled to Stockholm to preview Catalyst, I only just gained incentive to now. There's so much new stuff that we've learnt that it was hard to make the list of topics I had to cover in this video, but it's all a lot of very important stuff that I do think I need to talk over, and hopefully try to quell a lot of the expectations of a lot of the people who are talking about Catalyst, because in the comment sections of many of these videos that I'm going to show you in this video, because I've used four videos, should be four videos, from 4 different YouTubers, which I'll source, because obviously it's not my gameplay, it's theirs, it's on their channel. But a lot of these comments are extremely negative, and I can only attribute it to a few things. Like, for example, a lot of these videos are saying that they were forced to use an Xbox One controller while playing on a PC. And obviously that's a fairly simple setup. A controller's alright, sure, use a controller if you want to when you're gaming. And they use the PC so they can record the gameplay at the highest quality that the game's going to be released at. And obviously the problem with a controller is that it's a whole lot of smooth movement. And with a mouse, you can obviously do a lot of flicks, which is why CSGO is actually good on PC and not on console. So I can only attribute it to the Xbox One controller. Obviously, the gameplay is going to be a whole lot quicker with a mouse and a keyboard, because then you can do much quicker key presses, in my opinion, because I play a lot of PC games, and I know I can do a lot of actions quickly, because I've spent so much time PC gaming at high-level gameplay on CSGO 2. And so what ends up happening in these videos is there's a lot of repetitive combat gameplay. Like, in one video that I saw, a guy was just constantly spamming the kick button. And it looks like, since now it's been confirmed that there is actually a skill tree in the game and there's actual RPG elements to this new Mirror's Edge game that's coming out, I was only going to assume that this was the only combat move in the whole game at the beginning of the game, and it isn't. It's because the people playing these games are they're either good gamers playing on a controller, which they never usually do, or they're just shit gamers, and it's pretty frustrating. I'd have loved to get a copy of this beta myself, DICE, but obviously I only have 168 subscribers. Oh well, tough tidings. But hopefully I get the beta. Come on, DICE, redeem yourselves. Anyway, let's get right into this. I think the most notable thing that we need to talk about is the new rivalries. Obviously, you can see in the background here the opening sequence for Mirror's Edge Catalyst, excluded from the trailers because we have to obviously have a bit of the game that we actually don't know about ourselves. And this is the very beginning of the game. Faith has come out of juvie after 2 years of serving for whatever she did, which we don't know yet. But we do know that a big rival, and a rival that's actually being placed above Kasek, or Krugersek, the ones obviously keeping her in prison, is Dogan. This new rival seems dangerous. It's like he runs his own runner crew or something, and he's above and beyond the corporations. Or maybe he's the highest profile corporation, and he's even above Gabriel Kruger. So this is really interesting. There's not a lot we know about Dogan, and I'm pretty sure that the game's going to be split up into 2 acts, which actually, this theory is corroborated with the fact of the map, which I'll be showing in like 5 or 10 minutes time, in a little bit. Because we do need to talk about the map and the size of the map, because obviously this is a free roaming game, it's a sandbox, and that the size of the map is very important. Anyway, these new rivalries, Dogan and Kasek, really interesting. What we do see in pretty much all 4 of the clips that I'm going to show you is there's a henchwoman outside of the ending of the first mission, or the second. I'm not entirely sure which mission it is, because I don't fucking play the game myself. But there's this henchwoman outside that's always threatening you, and always reminding you about Dogan, and especially at the end of the clip that you just saw, or not near the end, just as Faith is coming out of prison, there's that woman saying Dogan sends his regards. It's like Dogan has his control over the corporations, although it's unclear whether Dogan's a good or a bad guy. We don't know if he's on the side of the law or something, but it's like he's been cutting deals with runners. And all the runners know, and it's such a weird relationship. So we don't know a lot about Doge, and I can only theorize. But that is certainly very interesting rivalries being set up here. And KSEC, I think I've gone over quite a bit. We obviously knew they were going to be the main enemy of the game, the biggest enemy. Although that may not be quite true. But I should talk more about the rivalries when we're talking about the map. And also something Jane Douglas says from Outside Xbox on her video. She talks about how half of the map is cut off by without having access to the mag rope, so you can access the other side of the city, which is awesome. I'm actually a big fan of cutting off like large amounts of the free roaming area at the beginning, sort of like Dying Light did, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas did. Obviously, you weren't allowed to go to San Fierro or Las Venturas without 10 pennies permission. That was San Andreas. Dying Light was Old Town and the slums. The game's been out long enough. It's not really a spoiler, for God's sake. And being able to be revealed to this new area of space to free roam that you haven't done in the past like 10 hours of the game is so cool. It's such a cool feeling. And it's like a pressure release. And that's what I really like about a lot of these free roam games, when they give you this opportunity later on in the game. So that's quite cool. Obviously, also Far Cry 4 did that with the Northern Bridge. I can't remember though. It was a while ago when I completed Far Cry 4. And Far Cry 3 did it as well. Although it's a common theme across free roam games, but it's really well executed, and it keeps a goal ahead of the person, ahead of the player. So yeah, I should talk more about the map in the map section of the video. But the two rivals, Dogen and KSEC, very interesting figures, and it's definitely a clear enemy for the player. And I cannot wait to actually play the game. It just sounds so cool. What you will see, I think it's like, apparently it was 3 hours into the game, on the Elysium Labs level, which I must have seen like 10 times now, because I've rewatched so many of these videos so many times. I'm so hyped for it. Elysium Labs, which we've also seen, and I speculated on in the trailers, with the design of Gabriel Kruger and those two like sort of what appear to be superhuman or like biotic guardians of Gabriel Kruger. DICE has made sure to create some really interesting and captivating enemies that we have to look forward to fighting eventually. And it just makes me cannot wait for what is going to be Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Mirror's Edge Catalyst brings some very drastic changes to both the heads-up display and the gameplay with the running. And it's sort of a welcome change. The thing is about Mirror's Edge 1 is I loved it to bits, obviously. And I've played it at least like 5 times, finished it 5 times. It's not hard because it takes like 5 hours to complete the game casually, and speedrunners have done it in 50 minutes. So, I mean, that's the thing. But the thing is about Mirror's Edge 1, which actually made me dread a lot of the levels, like, just off the top of my head, I know there's that one level, like, I think it's Jackknife, and you have to go into the drain pipe area, and it's an absolute drag. Obviously, speedrunners had found skips for it, fucking God bless their souls, because the pipes there are, they're just, I mean, the level design was perfect. It's so good. And I love the work that DICE put into the original Mirror's Edge. But the gameplay was sometimes so sluggish. And I know that they focused on this in Mirror's Edge Catalyst because they've worked on like the focus shield and the traversal attacks. They've really focused on the flow of Mirror's Edge Catalyst. You know, when you do free running in Mirror's Edge Catalyst, it's always going to be quick and it's always going to flow nicely, and you're always going to be speedy, which is what I think everyone wanted to a quote-unquote sequel to Mirror's Edge. I mean, it's not a sequel, it's a reboot. But for another Mirror's Edge game, this is exactly what was a due. That was a thing that was way overdue and had to be changed. So it's a really welcome change to see this quick-paced running. What we may stop seeing sort of like the tricks that speedrunners were using in the original Mirror's Edge, like coiling would make you sometimes get to maximum speed, doing a side strafe will get you to maximum speed. Different tricks like this may start to just disappear from the game, and especially with the implementation of the RPG system, a lot of this won't be possible at the beginning of the game. So I don't know how that's going to change a lot of the movement I mean, I guess we'll see when the beta comes out and when the game comes out. But the RPG system is that it does have quite a large impact on the running gameplay. And obviously, I have another section of the video dedicated to that too. A lot of these things link together, like Dogen and Kasek to the maps and the acts of the story. They sort of link together. The HUD as well. Now, this was the biggest thing you'd hear about if you spent 5 minutes looking at the comments of one of these videos, let alone all four. I've looked at all four's comments, and obviously it's not a good idea to take YouTube comments at face value, but statistically speaking, there is going to be at least 1/10 of the people that are interested in Catalyst that are going to say the same thing. So, at a statistical standpoint, you have to not get too overwhelmed over comments, otherwise you get too emotional, which is pretty stupid. But obviously, taking these comments at face value, the drastic HUD change from Mirror's Edge 1. Mirror's Edge 1, you had no heads-up display besides the button to look at your objectives, which is basically going back to the menu anyway, and runner vision. In Mirror's Edge Catalyst, we have a health bar, we have a focus bar, and we have runner vision. And the runner vision isn't the same as Mirror's Edge 1, it's basically turned into a GPS. And I understand that a lot of these casual players, or that sounds pretty elitist, all these casuals, but no, seriously, casual players that want to get into a free running game without a huge skill gap, or a skill curve, however you want to describe it. I understand that runner vision appeals to them, but as you can see in all four of these clips that I'm showing you today, some of these people are casuals beyond help. I know practice makes perfect, but it looks so sluggish, and I already addressed the issue by saying it's the Xbox One controller, but a fact is a fact. Some people still can't play Mirror's Edge with the fucking runner vision. I wouldn't say it's a problem with level design, because sometimes with a level design, you can see that the levels are linear, and that's the one thing you have to combat when you're a level designer. I've done it myself. Not that I've released any good maps, because the biggest project and my most successful projects and the project I was most happiest with would be like my previous video with a trailer breakdown analysis, or it would be VEXP, an add-on for Gary's mod. Those are my most successful projects that I've actually released to the public, and I was so happy with. But these people can't complete the levels even with the runner vision, which it's fine. That's the thing. People are obviously going to get better at the game the more they play it, and obviously some of these people have only been able to play like 3 hours or so. So it's alright, and Mirror's Edge is a whole new type of game. Always a genre-defining game. This brings me over to my main topic, and the biggest conflict in the comments. Has the game become way too simplified? You could say the same thing about Star Wars Battlefront, another game by DICE. Is DICE the best game developing company at simplifying everything? Because they release sort of the same action titles every year. Battlefield, right? But they've now released this new game, Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Genre defining. Mirror's Edge 1 it created the genre, basically. The first person free running genre. And it's so cool. Everyone admired DICE for this, and I don't know why a sequel or a new Mirror's Edge wasn't made a few years ago by now. It's ridiculous. But obviously, a lot of the market's changed. PC gaming has actually become way more prominent than it was 5 years ago. And 5 years ago is a hell of a long time. It may not seem like it to people older than me, obviously, but for me, 5 years was fucking ages. In 2010, I was playing Mirror's Edge on my Xbox because I couldn't on my little laptop. My dinky laptop. I obviously have a PC that's capable of multimedia now and video editing. That's why I'm doing this right now. But technology has changed so much in the last 5 years. Expectations in the market and the game market has changed so much that the world is ready for a new Mirror's Edge. Whether we should bring this aspect of casuality, the game being more casual and simplifying these gameplay elements, is an answer. I'm not sure. What I do think is that DICE is going to find the balance, because I'm not going to say DICE are completely hopeless. They have spent a huge amount of time making games, and I don't think we can throw away developer experience and designer experience just like that, because these people have been in the business for so long. We can't undermine their values on game development. What I think they're going to do is find a good balance, and I think we've seen it in these videos today. As I was saying previously in the literally like 5 minutes ago, some gameplay was just spamming the kick button, but obviously there's more to it than that. There's the light attacks, there's the focus shift, or not focus shift, I'm not sure, it was combat shift or something. There's so much more. There's the combat, much more than Mirror's Edge 1, much more, okay? There's no guns, which would actually suggest it's not a casual game, and they are trying to focus on the melee elements and create a good skill gap. So a good skill curve. Like, obviously it starts up high, but you can go even higher, and you have the potential to go even higher, and that's exactly what people want from Mirror's Edge. That's exactly what combats casuality and makes the game not casual, if you have the skill curve there. You can't argue that it's a casual game, and they made it way too oversimplified if you can get really fucking good at the game, like really fucking good. If there's no potential to get good, then what is there? And we've seen in this gameplay today that there are people who can't play the game amazingly, but it still looks good. That is the balance I'm talking about. If DICE have found the perfect balance, what you'll see is bad, like, not bad people playing games, because that's just a really aggressive way of stating it. I'd say lower skilled players of games are still creating really nice flowing movement. If DICE have found this, this is the perfect goal that they have achieved. That is what we want in a Mirror's Edge Catalyst. That would mean that Catalyst is not going to be a casual game. Take these 4 videos I'm showing you and make your own opinion on this. I'm fairly sure DICE are going to do a fantastic job. And I sound like a fanboy because I don't have evidence. But I can bet you Mirror's Edge Catalyst is not going to be a casual game. I've had a lot of fun playing the beta. Thing is, there's literally nothing to do after completing all of the dashes with 3 stars except a handy...
I love those dear hearts and gentle people who live in my hometown, because those dear hearts and gentle people will never ever let you down.